Deeper Than Music Radio.
Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. The Arcade Cabinet, a podcast by gamers for gamers. We have Billtendo, Sharon the Painter, and fieryfoxx, and we are the Arcade Cabinet crew. Billtendo, what are we talking about today?
All right, today we're going to be talking about all the recent developments with the Xbox, the new Xbox Series X coming out, and the PS5. Sorry, I'm getting myself a little tongue twisted, and that is actually one of the problems that we're dealing with in this whole situation is Xbox, to begin with, is absolutely terrible at naming consoles, and I'm just going to say it, they're assholes for it. I mean, come on, you had the Xbox, then you had the Xbox 360, then you had the Xbox 360 E-Series, then you had the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, and now you have the Xbox Series X, and that's a whole different... Man, come on, keep it simple like PlayStation, where you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or like Nintendo, and you have a clearly defined name between consoles. As a matter of fact, on launch day was the highest selling Xbox 360 or Xbox One day in the last 2 years. Higher than Christmas last year. You know why? Because the names are so confusing that 50,000 people bought Xbox Ones and didn't pre-order the Series X.
Wow.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even know what the new Xbox was called. I just say new Xbox.
Yeah.
So what if you got the?
Well, do you guys know what kicked off that whole issue? Is that if Xbox would have named their second console the Xbox 2, it was coming out at the same time as the PlayStation 3. And they're like, oh, people are going to automatically buy the PlayStation 3 because 3 is better than 2.
Right.
Even though they were equally competitive machines. So Xbox went with the Xbox 360. So PlayStation 3, Xbox 360.
Oh, so that's why they made it the 360.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because you get confused, right? Because I saw the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One S, and I could see a lot of people accidentally not knowing or not Google searching and accidentally buying the wrong console, thinking they got the new console.
Absolutely. And man, it happened a lot last week. It happened a whole lot last week. I have a decent amount to say on this subject. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say.
That sounds like a PR nightmare, man. That's gonna bump out the Sega Saturn when they released before. That's gonna make that the worst event, and then the Sega thing. Yeah. So that's a PR nightmare.
Yeah, I agree. They're sticking to it though. I don't know why they would continue on down this path of ridiculous naming, you know.
I feel
like their naming is indistinguishable from the previous generation, and I feel like it's almost unfair to the consumers. Why are you trying to confuse your consumer?
Right.
Like, why are you trying not to be open to casual gamers? Because a casual person that wants to buy the newest console is not going to know the difference between an Xbox One S and an Xbox Series X.
Not on. Why don't they call it like the Xbox Revolution? You know, just give it a new name altogether.
That's what I was thinking, because it's like with Nintendo, you had Nintendo 64, Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Wii.
Yeah.
And then they messed up with the Wii U, but you know, for the most part, they named each console very distinguishable name from the other consoles.
Right.
You know, I think that's a major down point as far as branding and advertising for Xbox. And I'm not gonna lie, late last week, everybody was counting Xbox out. It was looking bad for Xbox with the new consoles, being that everybody knows that PlayStation has all the exclusives. Xbox has a couple of exclusives, but mostly you're looking at Halo. And unless you're a Halo fan, who gives a shit? Get a PlayStation, because you can play all the Xbox games except for Halo and a couple other on PlayStation. However, PlayStation had a ton of exclusives. And so it was getting to the point where, cost and exclusive content, where a week ago it looked like Sony was just going to completely smash through. All their pre-orders sold out in one day. Yeah. No problem. They sold out on Amazon. They sold out on Walmart. They sold out on GameStop. They sold out on every single website in less than 12 hours. And Xbox didn't have the same things to offer. But then the day before Xbox's pre-order started, we found out that Microsoft bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion.
Wow.
Bethesda is a company that makes all kinds of video games, including, it's on the tip of my tongue, Fallout. Fallout 76 was the last one that was terrible. But, They make quite a few games, and now Xbox, if they really wanted to, they could have tons of exclusive content that Sony can't get, and it really puts them back in the running, and that helped them sell out completely on their first day of pre-order.
So this is recoverable then. This isn't like a Sega PlayStation. It's recoverable.
I think. Yeah, they brought a bigger dog to the fight at this point. Okay. As a matter of fact, Jenny, tell us what other game Bethesda is extremely popular for, since you're a big fan. That's right, Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls series. Oblivion, Morrowind, but mostly the bestseller is obviously Skyrim. So you could be looking at the next generation of consoles where you only get Fallout games and you only get Elder Scrolls Skyrim games on Xbox. They won't be available on PlayStation. Won't be available on Nintendo.
Skyrim is on Switch.
Yeah, but the next iteration, when whatever game they do next, which is, the next chapter in the Elder Scrolls, could very well be an Xbox exclusive.
So I just feel like more games in the future will come out and be not exclusive.
Because wouldn't it be beneficial for them to license it out?
It really would. It makes more sense, and everyone makes more money. And even Xbox was like, we don't really care as long as you play games. That's what's important. So I don't really think it's a war.
I see. I'm gonna be honest with you. I want Xbox to win because my son loves Xbox. So I want to see them do well because I want to see him happy.
Shout out to the good father. Good father wants the son happy. Shout out.
Throne wins all the dad points.
But I'm gonna have a PlayStation 5, so I already know they're gonna have some kick-ass games. I'm not worried about that.
2 generations back, we were fine. Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Nintendo Wii U at the same time, they all had pretty much the same games where, Nintendo had their exclusives, Microsoft had their couple for the Xbox, and PlayStation had just a couple for the PS3. It's really when they moved into the next generation and Sony really started snapping up rights to exclusive games that created the problem. And now, because Sony has done that, other companies have to do it as well to remain competitive. Otherwise, you're blocked out of these games. Why would you buy Xbox when there's 30 games you can't play on PlayStation, but if you buy the PlayStation, there's only 2 games you can't play that are on the Xbox. When Sony started doing all of these exclusive deals, it really kind of messed it up for everybody. And now it's like they have to continue on that road until either everything's exclusive or nothing is.
Yeah.
So you think they're making a pivot to position themselves with exclusive content to kind of edge up their market share?
I would think so. I would think so because that's one of the driving forces for the PS5. Why people are thinking that it's going to be so dominant, which, let's be honest, PlayStation is extremely dominant over Xbox. It looks like a battle here in the United States, but once you get out of the United States, people don't buy Xbox, man. It sells very, very little. Americans buy Xbox. We trust Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
Japan doesn't buy it. China doesn't buy it. Europe barely buys it. You know,
Right.
It's an American thing. Outside the United States, there is no competition. It's Nintendo and it's Sony.
Yeah.
And you're right, because Microsoft is American based, whereas Sony's
Right.
Japanese, and Sony's been around before even the PlayStation. We known them for CD players, like Sony
Yeah.
audio equipment. So you know, they already had a worldwide presence prior to Microsoft.
Hey, Jenny, was that Cloud?
No, it was Gabe. Cloud's here though.
Wow.
They're both here always.
Yeah, man, I'd always been like down with PlayStation from the time me and you rode over to Slidell, Mark, and I got that PlayStation 1.
1995. Shout out high school. Sharon was the first person I knew that had a PlayStation. Yo, we went to Slidell and he's like, I gotta get a PlayStation. I'm like, what is a PlayStation?
You bought that day. Look, and I'm gonna tell you how I did it. The thing was, and I know this is a little off subject, but they had this store called Babbage's, and if you traded in each system that you traded in, they gave you $100 off for the PlayStation 3. So what I did is I took my Super Nintendo, my Sega Genesis, and I went to the pawn shop and I bought like another Sega Genesis, like real cheap, like $20. And they gave you $100 off. And you had to give them like 3 games each system. And I only wound up playing like the taxes for my PlayStation, the first one I bought, which was like $25 or something like that. No, $12. But yeah, that's how I bought my first PlayStation. I traded in 3 systems, 9 games, and I paid the taxes on it. And I went home with a PlayStation. And I was like the only one in the entire school district with a PlayStation back in 1995.
Yeah, he was the first one.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I don't know anybody else who had one until well after we graduated. You know, I think. I remember Desmond Berry, his uncle had one, but he wasn't in school, so it didn't count. But that was the only one I could borrow games from. And you know, the video stores might have rented like maybe 1 or 2. In fact, that was on video. They were the only ones
Take
that
one.
games from. But yeah, that was a little bit of history, y'all. I was like, I was first on the PlayStation.
And Sony from day one, man, they just their catalog is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, like back in the day, like everybody had Mario Brothers 3, everybody had Tecmo Bowl, everybody had Double Dragon. But when Sony PlayStation came out, you know, you went to a different person's house and you hadn't even heard of the games that they had. You know, it's like, wait, what game is this? And you can go to somebody else and they have a completely different library.
Dude, so you guys know that I'm a pretty big collector, and I am not joking. I find PlayStation 1 games all the time that I have never heard of. You know, I picked up like 30 games last weekend, and one of the games was Hooters Road Trip across America. Like Hooters the restaurant. It's like cartoon
Hooters?
girls with big boobs. Yeah, and I'm like, this was a game? Yeah, and so like I sent a picture to I sent the picture to a bunch of my friends, and like every one of them was like, hey, sell me that game, because nobody's ever even seen it before. It's just like this weird little game, and it's only worth like $20, but it just shows that I never knew it existed. I have several friends that didn't know it existed, and even now, almost 30 years later, we're still finding PlayStation 1 games that we didn't know about because they had such a huge library.
Yeah, I actually got a a Pepsi Cola game. It's like Pepsi Man or something like that.
Oh, that was terrible,
Yeah,
man.
the game is horrible, man. Horrible.
I have to admit though, I love when PlayStation came out because it really changed the lay of the land with video games. You know, they were like, I mean, they loosened the reins on like the rating system. I mean, we had games that had curse words, and it was like the first time you saw it, I was like, wow, you know. And I mean, that's probably why we got so many odd games because I mean, people, were able to make pretty much almost whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, PlayStation got Pepsi Man. You know what the first Xbox got, huh?
What'd they get?
Sneak King.
Oh,
the Burger King game.
Oh my
I
goodness.
got it on my shelf, man.
They were giving one time. Oh,
They might as well have
yeah.
had a Ronald McDonald's. I know there was a few Ronald McDonald Nintendo and Sega games. So, Fiery
Yep.
Fox, Team Xbox or Team PlayStation?
Xbox
Okay.
Right.
for sure. I love the controller.
They have an interesting
Very
design.
about her love of the Xbox.
Hey, I ain't hating. I like the way like it looks like a tower, like a building, like the way they built the way they're making a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry, yeah. But I gotta say, I'm Team PlayStation because I love that design. I like the white and black and like the LED lights. I love that.
But isn't the Xboxes? Don't they? I know that some of their models were like plagued with problems, right? The initial.
The
I think
early
ever since
models were prone to failure without a significant reason why they would fail, and they'd get what was known the red ring of death.
Red Ring of Death,
But
yes.
Red Ring of Death actually got much more publicity than at the same time PS3, all the backwards compatible models. If you left them on for more than like 5 or 6 hours, there was a chance you could melt the thermal paste and it would flow over capacitors and shut it down for good.
Damn.
I have one of those models, and you can have them cleaned up now and the thermal paste replaced. But if you say you fell asleep with a movie running, there's a chance that when you woke up in the morning, your launch edition PS3 would not function anymore, that it would not turn back on because your thermal paste melted. The Red Ring of Death on Xbox got all the news. People didn't talk about the thermal paste on the original PS3s because it was a very big problem.
Wow.
I have an Xbox in my office right now at work that has a red ring of death, and I can't fix it.
Dang. It's
No,
already, so it's
damn.
deader than Fred? It's deader than Fred, huh?
It turns on, just ain't play that.
Right.
And I got a 360, man. Is it just the Xbox 360 that's it's kind of loud, man, even when you play movies? Is
Man,
that
a
much-
PS4 sounds like a helicopter taking off. My stepson, you can hear it anywhere in the house when that thing fires up.
I remember the Sega Dreamcast was loud.
Yeah, Sega Dreamcast, and then it's like the disc was like jerking. You could hear it.
The
Yeah,
Dreamcast is mad loud.
I mean, I thought it was kind of cool that you were able to hit a fan in it. I was like, oh, listen at that power.
Hey, how many of you guys used it to get online? You ever use it to get online to dial up?
No, I never did.
I did.
I tell you this, like, as far as loud consoles and such go, like, my wife doesn't complain too much about me playing video games in a bedroom. Like, you know, I'll hook up a system and I'll wake up a couple hours before her and I'll lay in bed and play game. No problem, right?
Yeah.
There's one system that I'm not allowed to do that with, and it's actually GameCube, because the controllers are so loud. They so clickety-clackety. It'll wake her up every time. She's like, not the GameCube, not the GameCube.
Man, the GameCube remind me of a lunchbox. Every time I see one of those.
Yeah, I still have my GameCube. Man, I have a ton of games for it too.
Man, I've come across and like bought and sold so many different GameCubes, but if you saw my GameCube, It looks like I found it at the city dump, man. It is a beater. It's missing a medallion on top. It's got a freaking Darth Vader sticker on it. It's all the wrong colors and everything. I don't know why. I just like that console. It's old. It's beat up. I've had it for a long time. I'll get rid of the nice ones. I'll make a profit on them.
So we're talking. Oh, go ahead, Sharon.
Mine's still in the box, and I still have the box actually in my attic. Yeah, I still have the receipt and everything from when we bought it like back in 2002.
Good God, man.
Yeah,
who you guys think's a win though? Now that we're talking about console war, Xbox and PlayStation, Bill, who do you think? So you think that's a power move, and that'll put them over?
I don't know if it'll put them over. It'll keep them in the running, but all in all, Sony's going to win with the most consoles sold again. That's just going to happen. They have a worldwide audience that Xbox doesn't have.
I don't know. I'm sure, yeah, PlayStation, but I mean, like I say, Xbox is right up there with them.
Yeah, because I never thought about like, and it makes sense. Like Microsoft is U.S. based, but like Sony has that presence. They have that catalog. They have that.
You see, me honestly, I don't look at it in terms of win or lose. I just look at it in terms of have fun.
You know what? We need them to battle it out because these battles drive innovation. Seriously, because if you have no competition, look what happened with the Atari Jaguar. It came out as a 64-bit system when 32s were what were selling at the time, and it had no competition. Why innovate?
Actually,
it had horrible games.
The games.
Oh yeah, because
okay.
I mean, their games had to be barely better than a 32-bit than a Super Nintendo or a Genesis.
I ask you this: what about like you say they have the Xbox Gold? What about online gaming and online content? Is there any competition with that, or is it just straight a level playing field with that? Because I know, what console was it initially that kind of brushed off online playing and it kind of hurt them a little bit?
Nintendo brushed it off for quite a while.
That's true.
Sony actually has been heavy into it. I don't know how the Sony Play Store works nowadays. To be honest, I haven't been on Sony Play Store since early days of PS3, but I know the Xbox game online game situation is fantastic, especially if you have like the Game Pass. I mean, access. So Jenny knows it gives you access to hundreds of games to download for free anytime you want, and they change them up every month, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's a couple in, couple out every month. So like, as far as online content, man, I don't know what Sony's doing, but Xbox is doing their online content, right?
Yeah, we have on PlayStation, we have they do like three release games a month that you can play that they bring out. Yeah. Forget what it's called, the PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Now. One of them, they have Plus and Now, because on one of them you can go online and you can just like you pay the subscription and you can just play like all these games, like old games, new games, not new. I'm sorry, but maybe about a year old. But I mean, you could just stream the games and just play them like as much as you want. So I think it's $20, like $20 a month, something like that. So that's PlayStation. One of them. I'm confused, but I don't know which one it is, but they also do have the one where you can download, because I downloaded Tomb Raider and another couple of Street Fighter. No, I'm sorry. It was a couple of games I've downloaded on PlayStation. And then, you pay like monthly, and then you get the free game.
Okay. Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have about 4 minutes left. I like to say, check us out on Amazon Alexa. Just ask her to play the Arcade Cabinet podcast. You can catch me on Twitch, what I need to get on board with. Add content, Furiously Speaking, FURYU, Furiously Speaking with a Y. I can't think right now. Also, Furiously Speaking on on Instagram, Furyus on Twitter. Check us out also on the niousmedia Roku channel. That's all I have to say.
All right, I'll go next. You can catch me, Sharon Hart, on Facebook and My Mind's Eye on Facebook. Also, I do have a Twitch channel. It's Disney96. Disney spelled with a Y, DYSNEA 96. You can catch me on there. I think I might jump on a little bit, play some games. So, yeah, look for it.
I'm on Twitch. I'm on Instagram. I'm going to bed.
Shout out to bedtime, ladies and gentlemen. We work around the clock here to bring you content.
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube, billtendo. Also, if you search me on Macari, look up billtendo. If I don't have the video games or the consoles you're looking for, feel free to message me and ask, because I'm going to hook you up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Sharon, go ahead. The painter.
No, I was just going to ask Bill, hey, do you ever get Neo Geo games? Do you ever see those?
Ooh. It's rare, but I can get them. We'll talk about that later.
All right. Arcade Cabinet crew burning the midnight shift in another great episode. Thank you for tuning in.